Okay, so you've purchased a home, you've put an offer in, it's been accepted, you're getting set to a closing date of, we'll say hypothetically November 15th. And on closing day, you're going to have to be aware that there is some closing costs associated with the purchase of your new home. The mortgage financing that we put through covers the cost of the purchase, but you want to make sure you've got some extra cash on hand to make sure you can cover the closing cost. The last thing you want to get to is to a point where you've purchased the home and on closing day find out that you're $3,000 short on your closing costs and the deal can't close. Big problem, big issue for everybody. Buyer, seller, real estate agent, mortgage agent, lawyer. Nobody wants to see that happen. So how much should you keep aside when it comes to closing costs? Well, let's say, for example, you've got a down payment of $20,000 on a new home, and you're buying a home that's worth $400,000. Well, you want to make sure that you have at least 1.5 to 4% of the purchase price in cash on hand to account for your closing costs. Most lenders will ask for a bank statement showing that you've got at least 1.5% of the purchase price in an account showing that that's cash on hand, meaning you're ready to close because they don't want to move to close and then find out you're not going to get it closed. So what's involved in closing costs? What are some standard fees and expenses incurred when it comes to closing? The big one for most people is land transfer tax. It's generally 0.5 to 2% of the purchase price of the home for most transactions in and around the $400,000 range. So your lawyer can give you specifics on that if you want to find out. They can calculate it for you. So you know exactly how much land transfer tax you'll pay on closing. If you're a first-time home buyer, you can actually apply for a rebate from the government on that land transfer tax as well too. You've got your legal fees. You're going to have to cover your lawyer or a closing service to finish the legal transaction side of it for you. You're going to have a deposit. A real estate agent usually handles the deposit up front to the seller, just committing you to the deal. Sometimes it's $1,000, sometimes it's much more, $5,000, $10,000. That's part of your negotiation with your real estate agent. Home inspection, about $400. Usually it's one of the conditions that gets put in the offer to make sure that the home is in good standing. You've got an appraisal fee, which is generally around $400. That's usually requested by your lender to get an accurate appraisal of the home so that they ensure that the sale value of the home or the purchase price is relatively close to the appraised price. You may have to pay some prepaid costs that the seller incurred. So the seller sells you the home and they've paid the property tax through the remainder of the year. They've prepaid some utility bills through the end of the year. You're going to have to reimburse the seller for those as well. Title insurance is something, it's usually between $100 and $300. It's handled by your lawyer. Title insurance actually protects your lender, not as much as it protects you, but it generally protects the lender in case of a dispute on the property, a lien on the house or something like that. It allows the lender to be protected in the case of a dispute. PST on your default insurance. Now, default insurance means if you're doing a high ratio mortgage, i.e. you're putting down less than 20%, it has to be default insured. Most people refer to it as CMHC insurance. That fee is normally worked into your mortgage financing, but the PST, the part where you got to pay the government on that premium, that you have to pay up front. The government does not wait for their money. We mentioned the appraisal fee as well too, and there might be some ancillary costs based around septic tank, or depending on where the property is. There could be some sort of issues around the property that might need further inspection, but that's a general overview of what kind of closing costs that you're going to run into. Generally account for 1.5 to 4% in closing costs. If you're looking to keep cash on hand, that just ensures no emergencies on closing day and you can take possession of your new home and enjoy it the way you were supposed to. If you have questions about this or anything, you can always reach out, DM me, or give me a shout or an email. Happy to answer any questions anytime.